Three mere mortals discover their ability to create entire universes with their minds alone. Upon discovering their abilities, these three, gods if you will, join forces to create the Dark and Stormy Nights, a supercharged team of creatives with the aim of helping artists and writers around the world while combating the forces of boredom and mundanity. They are the Dark and Stormy Nights.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back
to the Dark and Stormy Nights.
He hijacked my line. I was trying to be like all mysterious.
Oh, I thought you were
and
like, what podcast
and
am
like
I
build
doing?
tension.
Mysterious.
Was there tension before he did that?
Mysterious.
Did he
You
steal?
realize that they're clicking.
There was dead
on
air
our
is what I was
podcast
Did he steal the tension
to listen to our show? I'm fairly certain at this point they know who they're listening to.
I don't think they do.
But they like to hear it.
Fine. This is Loki.
This is Tyr.
And Odin.
And we're the original gods of the internet. So all others are fakers and should be paying homage to us. Just saying. Anyways, Odin, tell them where we've been, where we're going.
Okay, well, last we left off, we were doing a plotting episode where we laid out some ideas for the next 3 chapters. And in this episode, we're going to be picking up with the very first one. We are currently on episode 31, and it'll be chapter 19 of our, audiobook here.
That we refuse to name.
I mean, we're kind of working title with the Poltergeist Pocket one.
I mean, that's a long title. Is that really what we're sticking with here?
Is it that long a title?
Pending Peril.
It's a working title.
Pocket Watch and a Poltergeist? No, I said that out of order. But yeah, basically that.
Gears of Love.
Still not Gears of Love.
I mean, I think it's cheesy enough.
Oh. Now I'm seeing like Gears of War is some sort of homoerotic odyssey. I don't know why.
We could like readapt that song.
Because I don't remember there being female
Gears
soldiers.
of Love.
Maybe not.
No?
Probably.
Maybe we get Yanni to.
Or maybe it's like some kind of sort of cybernetic fetish thing.
Michael Bolton could sing it.
Why?
Well, because he did such a great song with Captain Jack Sparrow song.
Yes. No, after that, anything is possible.
This is the
do not underestimate him.
Captain Jack Sparrow. No? Nobody?
Okay.
Oh, yeah. No, I watched it. I'm a Lonely
It was
Island
great.
fan.
It was wonderful. His voice tickled me.
Now,
Did it?
I don't think
Where
it was the
did it
most
tickle
moving
you?
song in all of existence, but I do feel
I
that
do reckon.
if you haven't experienced a song, it's because you're missing something. You need to experience even some, Lonely Island enough that it comes up in your feed, for God's
I know.
sakes.
Well, oh god. Well, Lonely Island is like I think permanently in my feed. Shit's hilarious. Okay, so you said 19, right? We're doing chapter 19 today.
That is correct.
Okay, and this is Tyr's chapter.
It is.
So we're putting her on the spot today.
She speaks.
By the way, in case you guys didn't know, Tyr has a book out on Amazon.
Correct.
Y'all gotta go check that shit out. It's on her pin. It's pinned to her page. You can get there easily through.
My Twitter account, yeah.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
pinned, It's pinned there. You can find me on Twitter at Nova Drake Writer, or you can go to my website, and it's kind of all over there as well, which is novadrake.begvisirmedia.com.
So go get the book. You won't regret it.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be wrong to say that don't confuse this with the work we're presenting. I mean, there was thought and effort and editing put into that.
This is a rough draft.
Into my book, yes, there was.
This is a rough draft.
Oh,
I
I
can't
would
express that
say
enough. This is a rough draft.
I would say
This
I
is
had
an
about
audio
50
experience.
final versions at minimum.
Yeah,
Right?
oh yeah.
It's done. I swear it's done. No, it's really done this time.
All
No,
right.
this is the last time.
You know what though? You're not the only one, right? You're not the only one. We were just talking about there was another writer we were talking about. They just took their book down to revise or something like that. And then
George Lucas and his
and
reissues.
George Lucas, George, put the movies down. Step away. Let Anakin go.
4 and 5 was great. 6 we can accept. Didn't have to be redone 4 times. It really
no,
didn't.
No, just stop. Just stop. You need help. Okay. All right, Tyr, do you want to go ahead and start your chapter to lighten the mood after?
Sure. I don't know how much it's going to lighten the mood, but I will go ahead and read if that's what you like.
I'm just going to have nightmares about Jar Jar Binks now because of our conversation about Lucas.
Oh, that was the worst thing to come out of Star Wars.
I know, and he loves it to
Shut
this
up,
day.
does he?
Yeah. He stands by it.
The duck bunny?
Yeah,
is
yeah.
what
Yeah, no, he loves it. He thinks it was one of the greatest things that he ever
What?
created.
Like
Yes.
truly, if you're going to love a creature that came out of Star Wars, that's kind of awkward and weird. It's got to be the chicken hamsters.
Porgs.
Yeah.
They are alien golf balls.
No, I was actually happy with their inclusion because at first I'm like, this is a marketing ploy, which it was. But then they were like, oh, they're going to make them all cute. Then he's turning them into food. And then they made him guilty.
That
about
I
it.
did like. I
And then they
did
were all
like
gonna
that
be
they were being
friends.
roasted.
Damn it.
But they were
That was
never
great.
friends. They were an irritating infestation on the ship. That's all they ever became.
Oh yeah.
But they were
They're
cute.
space.
Ewoks.
They're space herpes.
Okay, but seriously, I would
Yeah.
love to know how much money he made off of just the freaking porg.
Oh,
he
I'm
made.
sure.
All the
but,
merch.
but the thing is, it's a joke. It's making fun of the Ewoks.
And that's the thing is, as long as you're telling him to put the pen down, that dude's making shit tons of money, and as long as he's making money, Star Wars will continue to grow.
But that's the thing. He's smiling out of both sides of his face because he's making fun of the Ewoks on one end, and the
Glad you
commercialism,
finished that with face.
and then on the other side, he's stacking cash.
Mhm.
So it was kind of brilliant.
yeah,
Yeah. Huh.
yeah. All right, am I reading here?
Yeah. Go for it. This is the first section of her chapter.
Mm-hmm. Zara stared dumbfounded at the place where Hammond had stood only moments before. Nothing remained but a smoking pair of boots. The Robert impersonator was down, surrounded by Wilhelm and Crow. She wanted nothing more than to protect whatever family she had left in the chaos, but there were enemies closing in, and she was not sure she could make it back to them in time. Fighting her way back towards her group, Zara is pulled up short by a new enemy, herself. Other Zara smirks at her as she crushes an innocent sprite just trying to get away. A fireball sails across the field, narrowly missing Karen as she fights off a troll from her place in front of Dale. Karen shoots a glare across the field to the tall, dark-haired man, indiscriminately lobbing fireballs from a gaudy cane. Zara is quickly distracted by her look-alike, approaching as though she hasn't a care in the world. Really thought I had that wolf. Left him for dead with a famous witch and a brood full of vengeful child souls. She shook her head. Just goes to show you can't outsource your work anymore. But you're the one I've been waiting for. I'm fond of this face. I think I'll keep it. And I think I'll take yours, too. She grinned at Zara as she pulled a knife from her belt. Gauntlet thrown, Zara pulls her own knife and braced herself for the attack from someone she knows all too well is a more than worthy opponent. The murmur of chanting grows louder as Desmond's cult builds the magic to close the portal when the time comes. Desmond was, as always, clearing out evil almost single-handedly. He fired off another fireball at the masses of vile creatures, trying to fight the pull of the return to sender spell he'd effortlessly woven despite that dreadful woman's potion. Her counterspell had been no match for his magic, and the creatures soon felt the pull. A wretched sea hag came slithering his way. Desmond quickly jumped out of her path, blasting the vile fish demon not a moment too soon. Iridescent scales exploded in flames, and he dodged the pieces of fin flying his way. He admittedly may have put a little too much power behind that one. Seriously, why did he even have minions? Desmond's eyes scanned the field, landing on a copse of trees on the opposite end. His doppelganger creature was finally doing her job and getting rid of her look-alike, but that's not what caught his eye. No, it was the movement in the trees behind them that gave him pause. It looked like the trees were moving, 8 feet tall, slowly creeping closer, nightmarish barren branches alive with movement. Not branches, bones. The creature exited the shade of the trees and moved into the light, the glow of the portal illuminating its skeletal figure. Long, bony arms hung at its side, reaching below its knees, only feet from the ground. And massive horns rose up off its skull. It was the work of nightmares. Desmond reeled back, bumping into Caleb. That don't look good, boss. Caleb had a firm grasp of the obvious. Get that thing through the portal. I want it out of my realm. It absolutely cannot stay. Where's Bob? Bullocks. The exclamation came from overhead, and Desmond and Caleb looked up to see Bob wrapped in a massive tentacle. Edged with tooth-like thorns, the pale flesh-colored appendage covered her entire torso. Desmond followed the limb back to its source, finding several more of the colossal arms coming through the portal and wrapping around any creature they could find. Close it! Close it now! I want that portal closed, he shouted to his cult. What about Bob? And the big fellow over there? Caleb asked unhelpfully. Honestly, Caleb, must I do everything? You and Bob can take down the oversized skeleton once the portal's closed. Bob, quit playing around and get down from there. Caleb raised a thick eyebrow. Pretty sure that's the last we've seen of Bob, boss. Caleb shook his head and moved off to deal with more creatures coming their way. Shame. I was just starting to like that, Bob. All right, that's the first section.
Coolos. That's kind of funny. I'm curious as to what is the skeleton thing just a giant skeleton?
So
With horns.
I will admit that I was looking up creatures and I like tried to find something like huge and super daunting. And yeah, it looks basically like this horrible nightmare of a giant thing. It's got like huge horns coming off of his head. I've seen a few different renditions
I'm
of
picturing
it.
like maybe an undead troll or something.
Okay.
Like I can show you the pictures I found, but yeah, it's just this giant like
Although
nightmare of a skeleton thing.
I gotta
But
say,
it's black.
I appreciate that you went dark with the doppelganger. I found that entertaining.
Oh yeah, the little bit of taunt there.
Oh,
I've been
yeah.
getting a little dark with some of my chapters.
Actually, I think
like
the book overall is taking on a darker and darker
It
tone.
definitely has a dark edge. I'm trying to keep some humor in it, but
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
right. So you see that guy coming towards you, and you're like,
Yeah, he sort of
oh
has
shit.
Yeah,
Get
I
it
wish
back
we could
through.
render that.
an overly exaggerated torso and long arms.
Yeah.
Might be some sort of description you want to add in. That just the
I'm sure you guys can build
disproportionality
off
of it
that.
is unnerving.
Well,
Well,
it looks
and
like
I
a
did mention
horned
that the
Slender
arms
Man.
held back. Yeah, Slenderman is kind of what I was thinking too,
Yeah,
but
it's
I
kinda
didn't
hard
want
to
to
render that
reference
in.
that word in the story.
Right.
Yeah.
It's sort of a modern reference to that.
I think a lot of
Really
people know
wouldn't
what a Slender Man is.
No.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
get
but
that, but
it
I
wouldn't
mean,
be relevant to the time period.
No, yeah, because I mean, it's more recent thing, but
hmm
okay. No, I dig that. That's really interesting, and it was funny. So,
Yeah. So, is there anything we want to change or add?
okay. So I couldn't remember. See, the problem is that
Well,
I couldn't remember. So she's fighting the Zara doppelganger.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so did we kill? Okay, wait. Zara,
You killed
the Meredith doppel-
Wilhelm. No, Meredith and Zara were alive. You killed Wilhelm and Hammond. The brownies took off with Hammond. Wilhelm was killed.
Okay, for some
by
reason I
Crow.
thought.
You left the girls alive.
I thought
that
one
was
of the
the
girls
notes
was
I
snatched
had.
up. Yeah. Okay.
We plotted for Meredith to be snatched up. We said
Oh,
the
okay,
only way
okay,
that she
okay.
could be killed was with the creature. And
Yeah,
I,
I mean,
I
I'm-
do that.
I'm sure that we could get her with a surprise or something too, but whatever. I think that the tentacle's probably the best bet of taking her out. But
Yeah.
I can't wait to see where you kind of went with it and everything.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time remembering some of the things.
yeah.
but-
My only note would
Yeah, it's all
be
blending a little.
just try and convey that image a little bit more clearly, because I'm seeing a giant skeleton, and I I don't know. I'm a little jaded in the modern age, and
Well, he's
video
also
games and all
across
that.
the field. It'll get described a pinch more when it
Okay.
comes to like the team spot because it's over by our heroes.
I'm just saying a skeleton doesn't sound frightening in and of itself, other than being a skeleton.
An 8-foot tall skeleton.
But what this
with
thing
horns
is, the image
basically
she
all
shared
I
with me,
described.
there's something disquieting about its.
Oh no, I've
It
seen
looks
those
like
things used before.
death.
They're creepy as hell.
Yeah.
I've seen them in anime, and they're always used as something really creepy in an anime.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, if you guys have some ideas, like I kind of threw this chapter together in the past couple of days.
Well,
so
I mean,
if
like
you have some descriptive
Lovecraft
words
was famous for using words like disproportionate. Like.
well, it's the proportions of the geometry was all wrong.
Right.
And so, but what you're trying to understand is your brain is supposed to be wrapping around the idea that it is not of this dimension.
Well, yeah,
that the
Lovecraftian
dimen-
was a higher dimensional.
Right.
Well, he's feeling the pull of the portal. That's what's drawing him
Right,
in.
yeah,
so
yeah.
You know he's not of this place. And plus, 8 feet tall with horns kind of.
Yeah,
gives you
yeah. No, love.
The not human factor.
All right. Yeah, he's big and bony. yeah.
Yeah,
so I
that's what I'm
kind of
saying.
made
It's
it
like if I
sound
met
like
a
at
skeleton in real
first-
life, it'd be frightening. But like in cinema, in a video game, it's not, because it's so
But,
dime
like
a
I was
dozen.
trying to make it
I
sound
played
like at
Skyrim, they're
first
not
it was
that bad.
blending with the branches, like he was seeing the bones as branches in the trees. And
Right.
then as he moved out of the trees, he was like, "Oh, not branches,
I
bones."
mean, Yeah, it's the 8-foot part that's kind of,
Yeah, that's a
unsettling,
that's a
you
little
know.
yeah.
and it's not quite a skeleton.
I actually
but
love this character, this demon that I've created here.
Oh, really? It
he's-
goes
there's
on?
more. There's more.
Really.
Well,
We might not do anything with him. He could disappear into the night, but yeah, he's got another little piece coming up here
Interesting.
there's definitely gonna be some creatures left over.
for sure.
Well, that's what I said. They're still gonna have a job after all this.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, so I don't kill him. So he's actually got a chance to reappear
so
as needed.
okay. Do you want to take a break and come back and go on to the next part?
If you like, sure.
Okay.
Hey dames and knights, Loki requires attention to survive. We feed him your likes and comments, so go show some love at the Dark and Stormy K1 on Twitter, the darkandstormynights.home.blog, or you can find us at Podbean, iTunes, or Google Play Music.
Love me. Love me.
You guys missed it. We came back in and the recording did not stick for some reason, but Odin barked like a dog for some reason. So we're back with second half of Tyr's chapter, and she's just going to go ahead and plow right through it and
Just get the whole
know,
thing
just
done.
get the whole thing done. Let's see what we
If you don't
got
get
going.
on tape, it's all hearsay.
So, all right, let's go.
All right. Sweat dripped down Zara's back as she barely dodged another killing blow. What the hell were they feeding these duplicates? This woman never tired out. She had one eye on the fight between the Marys, and she was relieved to see that Philip had stepped up to help. Movement in the trees drew her eye, and Zara about swallowed her tongue when she saw what was coming her way. The moment of distraction caught her dearly when her opponent ended up with a fistful of her hair and a knife to her throat. "Hold still, I'd like to take it all in one piece," the bitch taunted in her ear. Zara struggled as the blade bit into her skin, slicing through the layers like butter. Warm liquid ran down her neck, pooling in her clothes. A shriek split the air, joining her own cry. And the knife paused, and Zara opened her eyes to see Dale. With every step, he stormed towards them, growing in size, with a furious glare in his eyes. Muscle built as he moved to two legs, stomping forward on quickly growing hooves. Hands formed as he bulked, never entirely losing his animal appearance, and long, sharp tusks grew from his lower jaw. He grew until he rivaled Philip's shifted size. Neither man nor animal, Dale's third form, was a force to be reckoned with, and Zara's twin had the sense to be scared. Giving up on flaying Zara alive, she turned and ran, making it only 20 feet before she ran into a werebear. Philip turned from his fight with Mary's duplicate, just as evil Zara struck. The knife sunk deep into his side, causing his shift to recede as he fell. Zara's double used the distraction to run, getting little distance before an anguished howl filled the air. Her eyes widened. The wolf rose to his feet as the shift took hold, shedding his tweed jacket. Instead of dropping to four legs, he too took on the third form, growing in mass, while snapping his gleaming white teeth. The other Zara ran faster, but it was far too late. They all turned away as the massive wolf tore her to shreds. Zara dropped to her knees, pressing a hand to the profusely bleeding wound on her neck. She was immediately scooped up and cradled against a muscular chest and carried off out of the chaos. Dale set her down near Robert and immediately went to help Mary fight herself. Mary was far too distracted to be fighting an opponent that dangerous, and Dale needed to get her out of there before she became another casualty in their rapidly dwindling family. Sorrow burned in Zara's gut, and she forced herself to her feet. If she was going down, it would be at their sides. With one hand clutching her wound, she pulled her gun and turned toward the portal, where Poppy stood frozen. Huge tentacles reached through, gripping the edges of the tear and trying to force its way through. On the other side, there was the occasional glimpse of a massive eyeball, reminiscent of that of a goat, far too large to fit through this rip. The appendages swung through their side of the tear, swiping up creatures indiscriminately and dropping them into the razor-sharp beak that clamped down, crushing bone and flesh with ease. "Poppy, you have something to keep that out, right?" Poppy went to work pulling potions from hidden pouches and chains. "I wish I had a better answer for you, dear, but this doesn't look good." Poppy and Zara jumped out of the path of a sweeping tentacle, watching as it swept past, aiming for Mary and Dale. They watched in horror as it reached for Mary, nearly wrapping around until Dale swept her out of the way, knocking the imposter into its grasp, as he spun and ran with his friend in their arms. Their relief was short-lived. The creature quickly chomped down on the fake Mary and moved on to its next victims. Their team scattered, barely escaping its deadly reach. The outlook was grim, and Zara was growing weak with the blood loss. If anyone was going to be next, it was her. If only there was some way to make her death buy some time for her friends. Zara stepped closer, aiming her gun at the arm sweeping towards her. She fired repeatedly, barely slowing it down. Dale and Mary shouted in the background, yelling for her to move, but Zara had resigned herself to go down fighting. If the tentacles were impenetrable, then maybe the eye was the weakness. The tentacle swung her way, and she readied herself for the impact, raising her gun overhead. Moments before her plan was enacted, a bolt of electricity shot from behind, striking the flailing appendage and severing the end. It retreated with an ear-splitting squawk. Zara turned to see a gear-filled diving suit moving her way, shooting electricity at the portal to fight the massive beast back. Zara watched wide-eyed as the suit stomped by, severing limbs as he went. Tubes filled with glowing green liquid lined the back of the suit, and a paper-wrapped sandwich was stuffed in one pocket. Meatball by the smell of it. Hammond, she asked, daring to hope. Take a break, class, the muffled, slightly echoing voice replied. I got this. Roberta pressed her lips against the nausea as the tentacle she was trapped in swirled her through the air again. Desmond and Caleb were somewhere below her, not doing much to help, but that was men for ya. Roberta was used to doing everything herself. With a little effort, she was able to tug her shoulder holster free and pull her largest knife. Stabbing at the nasty creature, she left deep puncture wounds that leaked an inky black fluid all over her. Bullocks. She liked that shirt. The thorns and tentacles dug deeper into her flesh, and she hacked faster, slicing and stabbing, knowing her opportunity to escape was quickly vanishing. Flashes of lightning lit up the field on the opposite side of the portal, and Roberta used the beast's distraction to do more damage. Stabbing her blade down to the hilt, she dug deep and dragged as far as she could reach. The arm finally released her, dropping her 15 feet to the ground. She landed with a deep grunt, rolling to her feet and clutching her bleeding wounds. She drew a new knife and rejoined her team. Roberta didn't go down that easy. I said, close it. Now, Desmond shouted. Jennifer, why is this not done yet? Desmond spun and stormed off to the portal, aiming his staff at the opening and firing fireball after fireball. Tentacles swept over his head threateningly, the pitch of the chanting reaching its peak. The strained voices were nearly shouting. The portal shrank, sliding closed around the tentacles and creatures, trying desperately to make it to one side or the other before it was too late. Desmond let out a triumphant laugh as the portal cinched closed, severing everything in its path. The maniacal cackle was cut short when a massive tentacle dropped onto his head, crushing him to the ground. Karen rounded up her family, fighting creature after creature as she and Dale guided Wilhelm, Zara, and Mary back to Robert's side. They held the creatures back while their team regrouped. To her right, Karen noticed a looming presence. Turning to brace herself for another attack, she sucked in a gasp at the 8-foot-tall skeletal creature. Teddy, she asked. Ah, I thought that was you. At your service, Miss Karen, he chirped with a bow. Teddy? Mary asked from her side. I came over to help you and he's a friend of yours? The giant creature once again dipped his head. Tedrick Riverbottom, it's a pleasure, my lady. Mary stared for a long moment until Karen gave her a nudge with one of her legs. Yes, Mary stuttered. It's a pleasure. Teddy, my group here could use a breather. Would you mind giving a lady a hand while they tend to their wounds? Just like old times, eh? He teased with a smile that showed too many teeth. Karen smiled fondly. Just like old times. All right, that's it.
So the beast is
Tedrick.
and Karen's friend.
River bottom.
Yes.
I feel like all of these powerful beings from a bygone era, like the time of legends, before the Dark Ages, before recorded time, the 80s movies came in with that scroll. I kind of feel like they had lived and parsed out
another world,
little gangland territories throughout the entire globe. Like this was her land and this is this giant's
like
land.
Titans.
Kind of, yeah. It kind of feels like we're building in some ancient history here.
Well, I mean, these are ancient creatures, aren't they?
I don't know. It's just
The Baba
it's just
Yaga
funny that they're all like
Actually,
know each
I
other.
kind of like the idea that there's an underworld of these things, and maybe they're smuggling other beings in and out of the Fey world, and that they're
When you live to be as old as these creatures are, wouldn't you think that they meet on occasion?
not just that, but I mean, don't you miss some of the things from where you're from? Maybe there's like people cakes from someplace they're from, and
Oh, yeah. I mean, I didn't mean to imply that he's in any way, like, sweet and harmless. Just that he's a friend of Karen's.
right, it's just like, oh man, I haven't had people cakes in forever.
Yeah.
You got some people cakes?
I mean, she devours men's souls. She's not necessarily a nice person either.
I mean, what part of people cakes?
I mean,
Do you enjoy
I'm
people desserts when you're
I'm friends
a
with
person?
Loki, and Loki is a good person to his friends and family. And his friends and family.
I mean,
I think the circle kind of ends about there.
be my friend. It's that easy. Everybody else, there's Ragnarok.
Right.
The reckoning.
So
Anything you guys want to change
There was-
or add?
No, I wanted to compliment or address several things that I've already forgotten because it was like the story just kept going. I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
No, it
Oh,
got
I
more
liked how she did
exciting.
that.
I-
I've forgotten all of it. Oh, I'm trying to remember.
I like Dale going into full werebore
Oh
mode.
yeah, that was nice.
So I dig that. There was a little bit of I was a little confused. I think I might need to read it.
There was a lot of characters.
I mean, that's the thing. It was an overload of characters in one place, and that's not anybody's fault. I think
It
was
is.
that
It was the only way I
crescendo
could get
that we had to
everything
reach.
that you guys
I mean,
plotted
you know.
in.
It's yeah. It was the crescendo that we had to reach. You know, it was kind of Jesus.
Yeah,
you know?
this is why I hated you guys for putting this all on me, but I couldn't think of any other way to do it.
So
Yeah, I'm looking forward to when the characters start going their own way and
It'll
hang
be
out in a
easier
room
to
for
read.
a while or
Each
get together over
each
here. and-
section, each character change is separated in the text. It's just much harder to hear it than it is to
right.
read it. You
Well,
know?
yeah, no, I was confused about because it's like you said Karen, and then in my head I heard Jennifer, and I'm like, wait a minute, and then
Well, it's very hard to have separate voices
Probably
with
because it
that
went
many
from
people
Roberta to
all-
Karen.
yeah, maybe that's what it was. You jumped sides on me.
Yeah.
and I'm like,
well,
wait.
and that was the thing is I had to keep jumping back and forth between them and
Yeah.
these guys
No,
in
it's
order
difficult.
to make everything happen in a way that made sense.
Right, no, yeah, it's
It
completely
was like a
difficult.
chronological issue and everything that you guys
Right. No,
plotted
I
in
fully
there.
get that.
I think, yeah. I don't-
Though that stuff tends to read better in text because I mean, there's at least you can look back at the line and you know where you're at. You know.
I, however, think that Desmond getting squished was spectacularly anticlimactic.
Okay.
No, I mean it's not necessarily a
So you're saying it reads well for comedic value, or
like it was just squish, you know, like
I know,
Or
but
do you
like,
want
how do
more?
you dramatize a
that's
squish?
just kind of how it would be, I think, you know. And does
Do you
he
want to change it?
and does he
though?
deserve more? You know, it's like I don't
Do you
think
want to
he
have
does.
the creature capture him before he falls?
Not necessarily.
squeeze them
Because-
a little, tear his
Well, I know. Well,
clothing a bit
that
with
would be
his
kind of,
thorny.
yeah, but that means that because he gets squished, what in the portal slamming shut, the tentacle gets severed and drops on him, right?
Right. He gets his maniacal cackle in, and then
Well,
he gets crushed.
I don't know. I mean, like if he's wrapped in a tentacle, you might
only
not
thing I
you
could
might not
say-
know that he's still on this side.
The only
'cause
thing
you
I
might
could
not be able to see him around the tentacle.
The only thing I could say is that maybe he gets off some kind of snarky line or something like that just before he gets squished,
Which is why I made the laugh in there, just because I figured like he gets his triumphant moment. And
Yeah,
then
that's
squish.
true. Yeah, his celebration's cut short and
Right.
flat.
Now, how was the portal closed exactly?
Jennifer and the cult.
I mean, whether just chanting or
Yeah, they did. That was all plotted out previous chapters.
right. I just didn't know what the trigger was. I was just
It was their magic, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so between Hammond trying to shove it back through with lightning and
Right.
Right. Hammond was able to fight it back enough that they were able to close it.
So I dig it. I kind of want the mech suit action figure, and I wouldn't mind a Dale Werebore action figure too. So we'll
Yeah,
have to-
Dale kind of came out
we'll
pretty
figure
cool.
this.
Is he still in werebore form or?
Oh, that's
Well,
true.
he
Yeah,
carried
is, right?
the girls off, but we can really change him back at any point now.
Okay.
Can go King Kong mode and climb like the Tower of London. No, okay. It was thought. Okay, so where do we go from here? Okay, so the next
Chapter.
chapter is yours,
Right.
right? And you've already got that ready to go.
Yeah.
Does this change anything?
Little. I mean, I had small alterations I'd have to make because of based on my notes where I thought things were going versus where they might be. But I think they work fine. But if they don't, that's what editing's for.
I'm not editing it.
Not the episode, the book.
The story.
Okay,
The
still, you've got to fix your chapter.
Okay.
No, I don't think it changes much.
Did you guys want anything changed with the way that we knock out Desmond, or no?
No, I think it's appropriate, especially seeing how it is. Well, I don't really mention it. He doesn't really realize what happened when it comes to my chapter. It just
Do we want something else to happen between him and the monster? Do we want some sort of telepathic link before the thing closes?
I
You
think
can
it's
add some
best kept as a
drama there.
surprise for
Yeah.
For
Loki's
the
chapter.
reader?
Yeah, no, I think that he sinks right into it. I don't think he understands what's going on. And
Yeah, well, that's also why being knocked
So-
out is so easy for him, because he might have already been in an altered state of consciousness when that went down.
True, yeah. Well, and that's the thing is I feel like the Beast is taking advantage of the fact that he got knocked out, because I feel like it would, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think that if you suddenly got knocked out, it might be easier for something to make a telepathic link with you. You're
I
in
would
a state
agree.
of
You're
confusion.
not
There's
conscious
no-
to fight it.
Right, you're not conscious, you're in a state of confusion and stuff like that.
Sure.
That it could seize the moment and just
Did you guys want to make any changes to the mech suit?
No, I
don't
think
know
you
that I
hit all the
described it
marks.
well.
No, I think you described it pretty well. I mean, did you well, we didn't describe the pieces of the chest built into it.
Yeah, neither
I
did
did not.
I didn't really get heavily into the story, but it's very dark in my end. I mean,
Do you think we need to? Do you think people
I mean,
are
it's fun detail.
I don't
mean,
know. Are
but
people wondering where this suit came from? Because if they
we
can't
did originally
tell,
mention that we wanted to have some sort of symbol on the steamer trunk that then became like a logo on his chest, sort of like an Iron Man thing.
a giant C
As a giveaway, so you knew it was the same
Giant
steamer
C.
trunk.
for cunts?
yeah, I mean, right now the only thing really connecting the two,
Actually, it'd probably be his initials. HMR
the only
or
thing
something.
connecting the two is a meatball sandwich, for the smell of garlic.
Was it in the trunk the whole time?
I guess so.
Or
'Cause
does
it's
it
now
have
in
a
his
meatball
pocket.
sandwich maker built into it?
I wouldn't put it past
Some
him.
sort of like warming, steaming,
But
panini
every
press thing.
it seems like every chapter you have Hammond with food in his pocket. So
'Cause he's an eater.
I went with it.
I-
Now he's got a wooden
Okay.
frame with brass in that, and I'm like, you're like saying pocket, and I'm picturing like a square wooden shelf thing.
I mean,
Whatever.
maybe his butt's hanging out. He needs his front protected, not his ass. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's where it all goes. But
you could put like
Okay.
a workshop apron around him with a meatball sandwich sticking
so
out.
the
I don't
eating
really care.
quirk is something I had seen in Ocean's 11. It's something that Brad Pitt's character
right,
had
right.
in Ocean's 11. He was eating in every single scene of the movie.
Okay.
And I found it interesting. And then I was reading about other characters in other movies that had the eating quirk. And
Well, if they have him eating an apple, they're actually establishing them as assholes. I don't know why, but apples equal villain.
well, eating while people are talking to you also is kind of like
Disrespectful.
Yeah, it's disrespectful. But it could
Or
be
a
it could betray
casualness.
aloofness and stuff like that. Like you don't care.
Right.
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 And I'm not saying that Hammond doesn't care, but I am saying that food is more important than you. So Hammond will eat, and you will deal with it. And that's just
I mean, I think that Hammond is just a little too self-involved to understand basic manners.
That's exactly how I read
think
him.
that
But-
he's just wrapped up in his own world. He's a creator.
I
He's an
also-
inventor. Like, don't mess with his vibe. He's got his own way, and he
Yeah.
marches to the
Monster
beat of his own
hunting
drummer.
is mostly saving his friends, or as a field experiment for his.
yeah,
his-
sure. God, you can get away with anything in the fields. You got a den of vampires. We need to stop that. Got just the thing. I mean, and then you can just whip out
It's not
whatever
like
the hell he
cares
wanted,
about,
and
like,
what are you
killing
going
the
to do?
vampires.
Right.
He just wants to know, does the light bomb
right.
function?
right, right.
So yeah, I mean, hell, they greased up Dale and sent him in to see if it would work. So that's the other thing is the eating thing is something that him and Dale share.
Well,
and so
Dale's an animal.
sure, but he's following Hammond around picking up his scraps constantly.
Right.
It's a good explanation.
It's kind of interesting that we have two males that are self-involved for different reasons. Because like Wilhelm is an introvert and he's always worried about how he's being perceived, and he has intellectual pursuits that separates him. He's reading and whatever, and then you got Hammond, who's always living in his head thinking of the next invention.
You got Dale too, another male, who is completely self-involved.
Well, he's an animal. I mean, that's just being an animal.
Yeah, still. I mean, I don't know. I think it counts.
I'm just saying it's kind of strange that we don't have a more charismatic front character other than Philip, who was a tertiary
I think
character.
Mary is very charismatic when she needs to be.
Sure. No, I'm not saying we don't have them. I'm saying
Yeah, I
we don't
think
have a
it's-
male
well,
one
that's-
unless you
it's a
count
big
Philip.
problem. Right, that's why they're
say,
broke.
I would say that both Robert and Philip are rather charismatic and
I don't know anything about Robert
Right,
at
but
this point.
Philip isn't part of the team.
Robert's all hearsay so far.
yeah, Robert's secondhand, but he's definitely like a peoply person,
Right, Philip's not part of the team,
basically a salesman.
and Robert's dead. So,
Robert is dead for now, but he's been there.
well, God, yeah, sales might go through the roof once they have a charismatic guy who knows how to have manners.
Oh,
you know?
no, yeah, I do feel he knows how to negotiate and charm
Negotiate,
people.
that's the
Yeah,
right
yeah, yeah.
word.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I think that he's maybe not as tough as Mary is in the
Not
straight
as
on,
deadly.
yeah, in the straight up combat
Mhm.
area and stuff like that. And
right,
he's
but
not
he's
as
a smooth talker and a God. What is the word I'm looking for?
Silver-tongued devil. Glib.
I'm trying to think of a lead character that was kind of like this. So, I mean, Hammond is
He's the face.
is
You know,
smart.
like 18.
Yeah, it's his leadership abilities, I think, are what really carries him, right? It's not necessarily
That's interesting.
That
He
he
might
has-
actually unite the team.
Right, I think
He's
that's
the
what I'm
reason the
saying.
team's together in the
He's
first
a
place.
linchpin that
Yeah.
even beyond the grave, he kind of pulled him together. It wasn't as good
Right.
as it would have been if he would have been there to kick him in the ass to keep him going.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
but once he is there to kick them in the ass to get them going, I think
Yeah,
that
they might actually work as a
oh,
team.
see, this is good though. This changes the future of this story, and this is something we're going to talk about in the
It
planning
feels
episode.
like it'd be more present in book 2 because there's going to be a lot to do with wrapping
But
this one up.
we need the
but
team to really pull together
Sure.
to finish this off. You know what I'm saying? And maybe
All right.
here's where they go on the offensive after this.
You know, okay. I think I see how it would go down. I see him like sink into each person's character and knowing exactly how to talk to them to get what needs to be done. So in other words, like they all need to rally and do one thing and go here and do that thing. And he has a way of making it sound like it's something that they should already know that they want to do. That serves their interest. And he's not necessarily manipulating them, but motivating them through their own, you know, motivations.
Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we come back after the break and talk about that some more?
Sounds good.
All right.
Are you scared? You should be. Ooh, gave me a chill. It's the dark and stormy nights, baby.
Okay, so yeah, no, I like that we got two things happening simultaneously here. We've got Robert changing the team, and we've got the demon that we haven't introduced yet overtaking the other team. You know,
Right,
Desmond's
right.
team, and so the
Under new
demon-
management.
So that's what I'm saying. Both of these, both
That's
teams
true.
go under new
Both
management.
teams
same-
have evolved
so they
in some
become
way here.
mirrors,
Mhm.
right?
True. They finally both have effective leadership.
For a short period of time, anyways. You know, because I think the demon hatches this plan, and he goes through the plan. We talked about this before. Is he makes some grand steampunk device?
Yeah,
or
it's
whatever.
going to be, it might seem complex because it might have a worldview larger than Blackwell would have been able to have. And
Right.
therefore, it's hard to see. But being a demon, I do feel it's going to be a simple plan. It's going to be more force than elegance.
Yeah, it's
but it might move in a sideways fashion
essentially
than the
mass
way humans
sacrifice.
think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it might not be easy to guess because we can't think like it.
So,
But it's not complex.
well, I guess the question's gonna be okay. So now we got Robert, kind of getting the team
Rounding out the team.
straightened out. and
Yeah, what I
everything.
was trying to say
Do
before.
we have this culminate though, just as Desmond is being brought back to the picture? Like, yeah, I think this all kind of happens really fast.
I feel like we're approaching the end game here.
Yeah.
And so
I think we're about 1/3 left.
maybe and at this point our team is going through some significant changes. I think that the near-death experience for several of them here has made them appreciate each other more as family
Uh-huh.
than in cohesive team.
Well, not just that, but the fact that they went to bat for each other. I mean,
Right.
they've all risked their lives, you know, those Band of Brotherhood
Right.
stuff.
Yeah, did stuff that they individually normally wouldn't have done.
Right, and I made sure that I had Zara, mourning Hammond, despite the fact that those two are the ones who butted heads the most. And then also, it was Hammond that came to her rescue.
Right,
When
yeah.
she was ready to throw herself on the sword.
Oh, true. That was good. Yeah, I didn't
and
even
it
pick
was
that up.
him that came through and saved her ass.
Yeah, no,
So
that was good for the story, and I didn't even pick that up.
yeah.
Well, there was so much happening, I'm not sure I did either. I don't think it's the story's fault, but it was a lot going on. But families fight, But it's a whole nother thing when you mess with any sibling.
Right, but it's
they're all
so
gonna
easy
jump
to
on you.
take your family for granted when they're driving you nuts and
Sure.
they're perfectly safe.
Well,
But as soon as somebody else screws with them,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but 15 chapters ago, Hammond could have probably walked out the door, and it
Agreed.
would have just been whatever.
Well, I mean,
Right,
they're
but
basically
after
all
that,
got
everything
together
they've been
as like
through-
almost a wake, reading of a will kind of scenario.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, they asked me to do this, so I'm here.
Right.
Right, exactly. Like it was kind of a well for Robert. You
Right,
know?
right.
And then it kind of became like, well, I guess we can make a few bucks while we're all together and see how this goes.
Yeah.
Right. And so now they're kind of referring to each other as family, and they're seeing it like they're a team, they're a group, and like it maybe took some really crazy shit for it to come to that, but there they are. Between that and Robert coming back into the fold, there's a lot of growth happening.
Okay, I think it's important that we find a way to highlight at some point in the story more than that, more than a progression that which we may or may not have shown. But the fact is they're stronger together as individual beings.
Like Voltron.
Sure. But what I'm trying to get at is, okay, Meredith is broken. Wilhelm is not fully realized as a self-actualized being. He's living alone in a room and reading in isolation. Hammond, he's not shy, but he doesn't really relate to others well.
Well, no, he pushes people away. I mean, he's a dick,
And-
so they don't
okay.
try to come in.
Okay, then that's
I
back
think it's
history right there.
Too late though for that.
Well, I'm not saying we write that in now. I'm saying it.
No,
This goes in the
no.
rewrite.
I'm saying I think we're already past that point with Hammond. Like these people have grown on him, maybe like a fungus, but
Right.
they've grown on him.
and vice versa.
Well,
sure.
and what? He just turned it around, and the person that he butt heads with most, he put himself between her and danger. I mean,
Right.
he
The
threw
people-
himself in harm's way to keep her safe.
Right.
There's only two people you butt heads with: people who are diametrically opposed and just utterly wrong, or people who are exactly like you and are mirrors that you may not appreciate.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So what I'm basically saying is I feel like each of these characters are incomplete beings. And I think that they might actually be a little aware that living alone at this point would not be comfortable to them.
We need a group hug.
Well, they probably had to get a little drinking going on before any of them would even admit to any of that crap. But yeah,
Ooh.
They don't need to necessarily
Drinking
admit.
yeah,
to
I
it.
could see a round of "I love you, mans." They've earned it.
The problem is there needs to be some kind
It
of
could be your end game, really. Like when they think that they've won.
thing get shawarma.
Exactly. Shawarma and I love you, man.
Yeah.
Yes, and then the robotic whales attack.
I just had shawarma today. It was delicious.
I still have no idea what it is.
I don't know. It's just chicken.
Oh, I thought it was like a yogurt or something. I had no idea.
All right. Well, anyway, so we've hit like a big milestone for our group. They're changing,
So on the other end, though,
evolving.
while they're evolving, the other team's kind of.
Becoming a true cult under a real god.
Oh yeah, that's a thought.
By accident.
Because I think under Desmond, they had no chance of rebuilding the cult.
Under
It was done.
Desmond, I think it was a bit of a joke.
Well, the problem
You
was
know?
But I'm saying
People were
he
showing up
burned
for
his
the
bridges.
money.
He burned his bridges.
because
Yeah.
Desmond delegated too much.
The
He
demon.
trusted his
I
underlings
think
to do
people-
their job.
I think people will just gather under the demon. I think the cult will be the biggest it's ever been under this
But
thing.
you
Oh,
still
shit,
have
yeah, he's got-
Talbot in the streets
got
warning
powers
them
now.
away from everything supernatural.
There's always going to be the weak and disestablished that are gonna huddle around somebody with real power.
Right.
It's not going to be hard to find people in the gutter who are like, holy crap, he can actually do that.
I should have had some of the tentacles picking off members of the cult, swooping them up and eating them.
Well, they're not done. I have a little more of that in mind.
Okay.
Okay. I'm good with that. So.
So I feel like at this point, because we're nearing the end, I think that we almost need to clear up our timeline a little.
Oh,
I'm not
jeez.
saying we plot. I'm saying we make sure that this is heading in a direction to where it meets our endpoint that we had originally planned.
Okay.
So
Yeah, because we need this to end in the teams kind of clashing one final time. Desmond needs to
Right.
go down, all that. But I feel like this is Frankenstein's castle ending, where Desmond's last stand is going to be at the machine at the cathedral, and they're going to come to him to stop him. You know what I'm saying? So
you're saying the demon tries to go ahead with its plan, and they stop. Desmond's team stops it before it happens, but then Desmond modifies the original plan and goes forward anyway.
Well, yeah, but so instead of the Desmond or the demon's plan, sacrifice anything.
Wait, wasn't
Everything.
it something to do with brew kettles?
We talked about using a
Instead of a
brewery to make a
machine.
giant generator.
Oh, as a cauldron.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that you're just going to add
And
souls
then
to
you're
or
saying
something.
our team somehow finds out about it and shows up.
well, so Caleb and Jennifer were going to purge the demon from
Okay.
Desmond's body. Desmond was going to see the plan, realize with a little modification it could still work. So it just that way it doesn't kill humans.
And at this point, I would think he's almost like half insane from the torture that he's
Probably,
survived
and
from
I'm going to
this.
describe a little bit of that in my chapter.
Yeah.
I think the
so I
careful
think that
reader,
we're a screw loose right now.
But-
I think the careful reader would know that Caleb's got other motivations, because otherwise he would have buggered out right about here. You'd be like, this is too much.
Well, we've
Sure, I
kind of
think so,
given
but
a
it
hint to that
doesn't
already.
Matter if he takes off. If this demon's plan goes forward, they're all dead. They have no choice but
So-
to take him on. So Jennifer and Caleb and Roberta teaming up to take on Desmond, or to save Desmond, as they would look at it. I mean, that's kind of a needs to
Here's the
happen.
question.
Maybe
If
they
you kill Desmond, which we're not doing, I know, but if you killed him, like you decapitate him or something, would that just release the demon and make everything worse? Would it take another vessel?
I don't know. Let's try.
There's
it.
got to be a reason why they don't go with that option. Because no one's got that much love for Desmond that they're like, we must save him. It's more like, we got to fix this.
I think that at the very least they don't believe they can kill him and it'll fix the problem.
Okay, so it's better contained than...
But I'm
I mean,
wondering
why
if
would-
that's not how it all comes to.
Yeah, that's fixed with a simple conversation between villains of, I mean, we could always just off him. You idiot, are you trying to let it loose?
No, but I'm saying this is a conversation I think that needs to be had in story.
Right, it's like removing the top from the jar. You're just letting
Right.
it out. But yeah, I wonder if this doesn't result in somebody from the cult going to the team and saying, "We need
Ooh,
your help."
that's
to our
fun.
exterminators.
Yeah.
I was thinking that too. It almost feels too easy.
I don't know. I mean, it starts getting really end of the world looking
Unless-
serious. I could see someone doing
Unless
it.
you want Roberta to defect here,
I mean,
I would not
Roberta's
be opposed.
loyalty is not to Desmond.
It's to Jennifer.
Right.
So all she has to do is see something ugly about Jennifer, which is not that hard. She's not a good
Well, not
person.
to
Well,
mention, you
or
guys
she
keep
can
making this
think-
sound like the sisterhood of traveling pants, but she's an employee, and I really haven't seen this bonding that we keep saying that exist.
Regardless, all she has to do is think that she's saving Jennifer. It's what's best for her. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's.
I've never liked the idea of Roberta following Jennifer blindly.
I don't feel like she ever did. Nor do
So
I think
this
that's
is
what
my
it resulted in
Point
now.
is that I think at some point she just needs to see Jennifer plotting to set up a sacrifice,
I mean,
or a human sacrifice,
you
or something like that, where
we
she's
can't
like,
have
"Nah."
this illusion that Roberta's a good person. She works for a cult.
Sure, she took a
She's
job.
a mercenary.
She's
So-
not like Jennifer level evil. She took a job.
I don't think she's seen enough to see Jennifer as all that evil.
That's what I'm saying. Is all we need to do is expose Jennifer to Roberta in order to have Roberta go, oh no, this is too much,
I don't
and
know.
then she can go to the team.
They just experienced
If
a
there's any
Lovecraftian
chance of a
horror.
book 2, I don't want to expunge Jennifer of having any support. Because if her and the cult go separate ways, then she's completely on her own in a second book.
Roberta wouldn't be taking the cult with her.
No.
I don't know why it has to be Roberta. I mean, literally any cult member might freak out over all that's going on.
My point being is that when the cult dissolves and Desmond, quote unquote, gets arrested and Caleb goes with his real master and Jennifer tries to take off and everything.
I see Jennifer taking over a coven of witches. That's my thought. She's more skilled with magic. She's well versed in black magic. I would see her
I mean,
aligning
it is
herself
a
with
path to
witches.
power. I don't know if it's where she goes. We'll have to deal with that whenever we get to book 2. But
Right. Like she has power. She's very knowledgeable. She's strong.
I'm just saying I
There
don't
would
know
be
why
no reason that witches
Roberta
wouldn't follow
couldn't
her.
go with her. You know what I'm saying?
she might. I'm not saying
could.
it has to go one way or another with Roberta. I'm just saying is this idea that there's this fixed loyalty. I feel that as far as what we presented is rather unearned.
I don't know.
I just like the Roberta character. So
Yeah, I
don't
like it too.
I've seen
I don't like her following Jennifer.
I've seen loyalty for far less.
True. No, I have to in life.
So
Unfortunately, though, as I love to quote, fiction has the burden of being more real than reality, or more believable than reality.
I don't know. Nonetheless, I had a whole chapter trying to build this relationship between the two of them. So
No, I know. But that's not like
I
do
feel
you
like
stay in a toxic relationship once you've discovered who the person you're with is?
most people do, yes,
Yeah, but then there's emotion.
I don't.
No,
Sex.
I don't either.
but most people do. Like
Oh, for a little while.
98% of them,
Well,
do.
that's sad. And I don't like Roberta having
like
that
people
kind of a
get
life.
killed every day by a toxic spouse.
Which is why you need to bail as soon as you see it's toxic.
So I'm just saying.
Hence me
that's a
trying to get
common thing.
Roberta out of this.
Yeah, it's extremely common. I'm amazed by the question, actually.
So yes, you stay in a toxic relationship realistically.
Not in my
I don't think
reality.
forever.
None of you at home should. But realistically, your character
Okay,
might.
not in my reality. I was trying to save Roberta. If you guys wanted to go down in flames, then
No,
that's
no.
what we
Go down
do.
in flames. I want her to be the second in charge of a coven in book 2.
I have
With
no.
a toxic, narcissistic asshole.
If it was up to me, I'd have her disappear into the darkness and then reemerge as a character in the second book, like with her own agenda. That's how I would run with it, but it doesn't really matter. I don't want her
That-
dead, but
man,
I
that's
don't
Jennifer is
care
not
she
capable
dies.
of caring for
I don't care
somebody.
one way or
That's
the
the
other.
problem.
I don't know.
So regardless of what we do with Roberta, I just think it makes more sense and it seems less of a
I just think
if
the
a-
last chapter is the end of Roberta.
it
Then,
feels
if
like
we don't have her
less
go
of a
with,
leap to have like a character we're familiar with who's involved with them and would see what's happening to go to our team versus some random minion.
I mean, Roberta could just sell them out, and that's that. You know,
Well, in the end, we'll do whatever's in best for the story.
anybody could
But-
sell them out. You're
Or-
right.
But again,
We
you can
find
always
some
vote
other
on
way
this.
for our we find some other way for our heroes to find out about them.
Like, I thought it would be useful to the story to murder somebody. 63% of you said no.
Maybe Tedrick.
Which means 37% of you have chosen wisely.
I know, man. I'm like, damn it. They made Tyr the winner in this one.
Oh, well, you guys are trying to off
It's not
Philip.
that large of a margin, though. Just a little over
Screw you
half.
Would have
guys.
been
We're
that
not
big a
killing
loss.
him. Yes.
I'm surprised a few people voted for Dale to die.
Yeah, have we made him that annoying? I know we haven't
I don't
done
know.
a good job of making
You know,
him
maybe it's
endearing,
because I
but
like him so much.
I don't know. He's too throwaway. Maybe that's what it is. Like,
But-
I need to kill someone. They're like, take the pig, I guess.
No, nobody's safe in my
He was
stories.
supposed to be dead from the
Nobody.
beginning,
Oh, that's true.
but now he's got third form and he's kind of cool. So he's
He is kind of cool.
I wonder what my third form is.
Anyway, so what if our team finds a different way completely to learn about what's going on with
I thought they'd just show up.
Scry
show up where, how,
eyes.
why?
Or he's got this
watching
giant
you.
brew kettle and he's doing some grand ritual. And
I
they-
can do this
and
all
they
day.
track
About
him
this.
back to there because they want to defeat him or arrest him or whatever. And they don't know what the plan
I was
is.
trying to
They
think if
just
there's
end
some
up
way
there.
that Karen and Tedrick could figure out
Scrying eyes.
there's a
Well,
disturbance in the
watching
force,
you.
you know, kind of thing.
Watching your every
Well,
Really?
would a demon Desmond summon another legendary ancient?
What are we trying to
mythological being
make
for them.
Exodia here?
What are you talking about?
How
Why would
many
you summon
fucking
anything?
legendary things do you need?
My point is, she was saying is that Riverbottom and Karen were talking, and they're like, "Oh, I heard in the grapevine of legendary creatures." I'm like,
That there's this other legendary creature that we can bring.
No, that's not at all what I was
no,
saying.
no, no, that Desmond's dealing with or something. I don't know.
Like I was saying, maybe when he's like creating this or whatever, there's like a disturbance in the force that they're able to tell something's going on supernaturally.
Oh, like they can feel it.
Oh,
I don't
maybe.
know.
Wait.
Some,
Okay,
some way
okay,
of
Okay,
okay,
knowing.
wait.
wait. Maybe I got you. Okay, maybe I got you. you know, or they're talking about like, oh, thank God that things left the realm. You know, we got it out of here. And River Bottom's like, no, it didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't leave.
Okay.
And they're
so
like, wait a minute, what?
yeah.
No,
That would
it's
work.
here still.
Like, doesn't that feel like less of a leap than a minion? Like,
Okay.
I'm gonna go right to the
Well,
heroes
where
of
is
the
it?
story
Well,
and tell them what's happening. You
I
know.
don't fucking know, but it didn't go anywhere.
Right.
You
It's
just
still here. I
you
can
busted
tell
up its
that.
physical form.
I'll agree that the minion going over is a convenient, and
That's my problem
it
with
feels
it.
very tropey. But the fact is that I think in real life somebody would do that.
Well, what bothers
Sure,
what
in
bothers
real
him
But in a
life,
is
book,
maybe.
somehow it does come off
It
tropey. I
feels-
don't know why.
Too convenient.
Yeah. No, I like that.
I mean, the bothersome thing is that he didn't say sooner, like that it's not gone.
No,
That
'cause
you
River
wait
Bo-
till somebody said something.
We
River
just
Bottom
now
doesn't
closed the
care.
portal.
So
River Bottom's ancient. He
I mean,
doesn't-
truly.
yeah, this shit probably does happen all the time for somebody who's
Yeah.
It's
immortal.
like, oh, okay, powerful things.
I
over
mean,
here
and
gonna
look
do
at him.
things.
Like,
Whoody
he looks
who.
like this 8-foot tall, threatening skeleton Slenderman, and he's just like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" Like, you
Right.
know, like,
Hey,
why is
guys.
he gonna judge the guy who's got a giant parrot beak and tentacles? You
Yeah,
know?
that's fair. Yeah. I mean, what we consider to be strange and world-ending, he's just like, yeah, this happened like last. Okay, maybe it wasn't last Tuesday. It was maybe 200 years ago. But yeah, close enough to me. You know.
Right. Exactly. This is just another day for
Well,
him.
it dawned a new age, but that was like
So
12
all you have
ages
to
ago,
do-
so
Right.
whatever.
Is have like one of the
You're due.
heroes make a throwaway comment about, "Wow, thank God we defeated that thing." Sorry to tell you this, friends. You know?
Yeah.
One, you close the door, and two, it's still on this side of it.
Yeah. Exactly. There you go. And that's all.
Right.
you
Yeah.
need.
What did you think
That's
you
enough.
did? You closed the door while it was in the house.
Yeah,
No.
exactly. So like that's all really it takes, and for them to go, oh shit, and then they know they have to look for it. That's enough, and I feel like that's okay to do. I
buy it.
yeah,
Wow. Did we just make that believable?
I
But-
feel like it's better
But
than
then what
someone.
happens? Does he go
running
to a
to
river
tell.
bottom and just like sleep in the river rocks for
And
another
then?
couple hundred years? Did you just like
We
wander
can
off?
change his name.
No,
I'm
no,
rather
I'm
fond
not
of
making fun of
Tedrick,
him. He's a
but
nature thing or whatever.
I just wanted him to sound kind of like Mary Poppins, you know.
Oh,
So how'd you get the name Tedrick? My parents were dicks.
Well, I remembered our discussions about Craigery and everything, and I was like, yeah, I'm going with it.
it means Slayer of Heroes in my language. It's much cooler in my language.
Destroyer of all things.
I am the death. I am the night.
I am Batman.
Exactly.
I thought you was going for Darkwing Duck there.
Ah, that's even better.
Wait, no, that's not the one that eats ketchup, is it? Darkwing was the hero, the superhero.
The super.
What am I thinking of? The vampire duck.
Okay,
What
you've watched
pirate
way
duck?
too much if you know that.
Come on, you don't remember this?
No. God, no.
Was it
Count
in-
Duckula.
Oh, my God.
Oh, I don't think I remember.
But he
that.
didn't suck blood. He ate ketchup.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Dude, there was. I mean, come on. They ducked everything to death back in the
Yeah,
early
I know,
'90s.
I know. DuckTales.
Yeah.
Scrooge Duck,
What was
and-
up with that? That was weird.
Yeah. Fucking weird. I know. I don't get it.
Not
and
that
there
I
was a
didn't watch
crossover with that
Darkwing, but
flying
still
plane
weird.
bear. That was
What?
Baloo from.
Oh,
what?
tailspin.
Yeah. There's
All
a
the
crossover.
trouble we get in with another tailspin.
Oh, good lord!
How do you know this?
Because this was my life.
You watched
Wow.
Dude, what else was there?
Yeah, no,
I-
cartoons started
the-
getting really crappy around
that? The
then.
only thing I remember watching religiously was X-Men
Oh, man, TV was
Oh,
my babysitter.
yes.
and Teenage
90s
Mutant Ninja
X-Men.
Turtles. Oh, and Ghostbusters. Fuck yes,
Oh, yeah.
Ghostbusters.
But Batman
See,
animated series.
mine goes further back than that. I used to watch Cubert, the cartoon.
No, I
What?
don't remember
Why?
that.
There was a Rubik's Cube cartoon.
How does that even work?
The Snorks. You remember the Snorks?
I vaguely
Yes,
remember
I
the
do.
Snorks.
I hate to admit it, but yes.
Yeah, there was a.
That's like the part of the
see-
4 hours of Smurfs they had because they ran out of cartoons to put
the
on.
one I always talk about that nobody remembers is
God.
Jace and the Wheeled Warriors.
Was
So,
this like 7:30 in the morning?
It was on the Cat Akron television.
Oh God.
So,
Yeah.
which I was getting it like fuzzy black and white because I live nowhere near Akron. So, like, it was like
Well,
barely
children,
coming through, but it was
back
more
in the
instant
day,
tail than.
Before digitized signals, there was something known as UHF. It was that second
Right.
knob where you could barely get 3 stations.
The nice thing about TV back then, though, is you could get like granulated porn sometimes on
Oh,
the wrong channel.
jeez.
You know, like.
that was from the cable
But
box.
you can't get that
That was
now.
early
You can't
age
get that
cable
now.
box.
Like a channel either works or it doesn't. You can't get granulated porn anymore.
what was the point?
I mean, now you don't
You
have
get this
to.
big wavy chevron form with a breast in it, and you're like, woo, for half a second. So was it worth it?
Yeah, but when you're a kid, you're like, oh yeah, I think I saw something. You know. So, all right. So, do we have anything else?
No, I think that we're
Yeah.
good on
Did
that
we?
note.
Sorry.
So
Did
this
we
episode's
thoroughly
gonna be
lose our?
granulated porn.
This is
what
going to be
we're
the
calling it?
episode we lose the rest of our audience.
Probably.
So well, maybe we'll see you next week then.
Yeah.
All right, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at the Dark Stormy K1.
Visit the website, the darkandstormynights.vegvasirmedia.com.
Go buy Tier's book at
On Amazon, just look up The Cost of Justice by Nova Drake. And then also visit vegvasirmedia.com and check out some books that people have posted for reviews. Read some stories and post reviews. And you can also see some featured authors and podcasts and everything right on that page as well.
See you next week.